Hello and good morning. This one is just for investors' eyes only. Bit like Super Spies, for your eyes only. Ha ha ha. But this is just for investors, so it's not for anybody else. It's not talking about anything else. It's anything like that. It's just for investors. So if you're not an investor, it's not really going to affect you much. Bit subliminal. So anyway, not to waste too much of your time. This is just for you investors. Right, I'm going to start off by saying that as an investor, most investors, and I'm talking about high level investors, most investors tend to invest in different things. You know, it's not just come along, invest in Ian Lambert and never invest in anything else. I've got people that play investments. I've got people that have got money in stocks and shares and other investment firms and things like that. And as you know, I mean, a couple of you, I won't be able to mention anything personal, stuff like that, but a couple of you that have got serious money invested in me. We've had conversations where I've been told that all of a sudden the investment firm that they've got all their money tied up in has just disappeared. Gone. Right? Look at that. Can you see? Can you? Yeah, get past the handsome bit and the good looks and all the rest of it. Right? Can you see? Look, I'm still here. Look, see? That's me. There's no running away. There's no closing the doors and offing it and changing phone numbers. Let's get that out of the way, first and foremost. Now, the next thing I want to get out of the way is I'm going to do something that no one has ever done to you before. Never. Never in your life has anybody looked you in the eye, like me, and said, every single penny that you've put in, gone. You've lost it. Every penny. Every penny of every investment put into my business, gone. And we need to be clear about that. There's so much miscommunication goes on. There is so much misunderstandings going on. I mean, look at the shit that was caused at Christmas just because of misunderstandings, right? And my own responsibilities in that, of course. So to make sure there's no misunderstandings whatsoever, to make sure that, you know, we're not going to have other people winding you up and saying the wrong things and leading you up the garden path on one thing and another. So you get it from the horse's mouth, because I always promised you that, didn't I? Didn't I give you my word? When those of you that I spoke to verbally on the phone, that I would be honest, I'd be straight with you, no matter what. So this is what being straight and honest with people is all about. Now, I know I've got your attention, because I've just told you that every penny that you've put into my business is gone. I'm not mucking about here. I'm not winding you up. It's gone. And there is virtually no way back from it. And the longer this lockdown goes on, the less chance there will ever be of me getting out of it and coming out of it to a point where I can pay you back. And you want me to pay you back, which is a coincidence, really, because I want me to pay you back. So we are both on the same page there. Now, I know I've fallen out with a couple of people here and there, and I know I've fallen out with a couple of investors. We have comments like, you know, I'll be talking about doing £1,000 parcel for somebody giving us 1,000 shares on a post on Facebook in order to get awareness and publicity and blah, 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 blah. Don't need to go into the whys and wherefores of that. And then I'll get comments like, you want to be giving this to your investors. So, you know, some of you will know this already. But for those of you that don't, not everyone that makes a comment like that is actually an investor. Some of these people just come in and stir the shit. They just want to come in and stir it. And people bite. And I bite now and again. Rah, rah, rah. Sometimes to the wrong people. Like David Sands the other day. Sorry, David. This is a message to you. You are an investor, as you said. And I do apologise. You do have the right to say you're in fantasy land, Ian. And maybe it's like, you could say to somebody, oh, you're a wanker. And they won't be offended because of the way it's come across. You could say to somebody, oh, you wanker. And like, you're going to get offended because of the way it's come across. The thing about a written word is you don't know how it's coming across. So you don't know whether somebody's being gentle. You don't know whether somebody's sharpening a stick and stabbing you. You don't know sometimes. Sometimes you have a look at a message and you read the message and you've took it completely the wrong way. Now, I will be the first person to hold my hands up to that. I've done it so many times in the past and it looks like I've gone and done it again, and I just let out my frustration on David that day. Sorry, David. I was actually talking to more sticky, pointy people than David, really. But I did a bit go off on one and I had to have a word with myself in the mirror afterwards. Definitely. I was thinking about that for a long time, thought about it the next day. I had to have a word with myself, had to sit down literally and have a word with myself and think about that and go, look, that was out of order. You shouldn't have done that. There was a different way of answering that. But anyway, that was a genuine comment. But there are comments like that are not quite genuine. So here's the thing. I could say, and this is not me being nasty towards David or anybody else, but I could say, David, why didn't you send me a box of strawberries? And the rest of you, every other investor out there, why didn't you send me a box of strawberries yesterday? And you're going to be looking at this now going, what's the matter with you? You're off your head. Well, there's a simple reason why you didn't send me anything yesterday. Because I didn't ask for it. I didn't ring David up or any of my other investors up and say, hey, send me a box of strawberries. So how could I possibly, and it doesn't matter what it is, I'm using strawberries as a ridiculous example. So how could I possibly today be angry and go, you didn't send me a box of strawberries? Right? Stupid, isn't it? That is absolutely stupid. Right? It is no less stupid than, and I'm saying the word stupid, that's going to offend. Don't mean to. It is no less a ridiculous statement to make than somebody saying to me, you should give that to the investors. And do you know why I say that? Because not one of you, not a single solitary one of you that have invested money from 25 quid up to tens of thousands, right? Not one of you has actually said, Ian, I don't mind having my investment paid in a parcel. In fact, I've had one person, only one person say, is there any chance, and that was the other day, is there any chance I could have my investment sorted out with a parcel? Now, you can't, in all common sense and in all forms of common decency, expect me to send you something you haven't asked for. And to those of you that are sitting there thinking, well, actually, yes, you can, Ian. No, I can't. Because if I just decide to send you something and go, oh, right, so-and-so owes me, I owe so-and-so £2,000, I'll send him a £3,000 or a £4,000 parcel. He might get that parcel and go, I don't want that. Why did you send me that? I don't want that. So how can I just decide to send you it? I can't. If anybody out there has been thinking, I don't know why you don't send these parcels to your investors, that's why I don't send them to the investors. Because half the people, probably 80% of the people that I would send those parcels to would send them straight back. and quite rightly so, and say, what do you think you're doing? I didn't ask for that. I don't want my investment cleared that way. Not if there's some semblance of a chance that I might get it another way. See what I mean? Bit subliminal. So, it is not me being arsey in any way with any one of you. I promise. If any of you want me to satisfy you with a parcel, then you've only got to contact me and let me know. But what's not going to happen, it's not going to be the kind of parcel where you can pick and choose. And it's not going to be the kind of parcel where you can pick and choose and you can say, I want this and I want that, and you're gonna do it at such and such a price for each one. No, it can't work like that. If you want satisfying with what I owe you, because I've still got to, even though the rules and everything have been relaxed and one thing and another, and even though, you know, I might be pushing the boundaries a bit, I've still got to obey the law, right? And the law says that you've got to be really careful when you're making people preferential creditors, and there are only certain circumstances where you can make them preferential creditors. Pardon me. So, yes, I can sort parcels out for investors. That's no problem at all. I've got stock. Whether it will be the stock that you want, that's another question. But for those of you that are interested, by all means contact me. The fairest way I've been able to do it is to take people one at a time. I've been taking a few customers one at a time, as you know, and settling them. I have no problem settling investors one at a time. I have no problem settling anybody that I owe money to with parcels. If I owe you money and you want that settled with parcels, that's not a problem to me. Obviously, what I can't do is if I just open that up and went, yeah, everybody, which I do mean it for everybody, but yeah, everybody, I'm going to get bombarded. Now we're into the realms of having lists again, and then I've got people emailing me weekly, daily, where am I on the list, and all that kind of stuff. So the minute I start going into a list format, I've then got to come up with some way of telling everybody what number they are on the list and when they're going to get settled, and it is non-stop. And if I open that right up and 1,000 people or 100 or 200 or whatever, or 50 start bombarding me with those kinds of emails every week, there's no way that I'm going to be able to even continue putting parcels together if I've got to answer 200 emails every week or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not that you can't have parcels. You can have parcels. And I'm quite happy to sort you all out with parcels if you want that. But you'll have to get in touch with me and we'll have to take them one at a time. And you'll just have to be patient. And I can let people know I've settled an investor, just like I let them know I've settled a customer. One by one, the people I settle will get to see that Ian is not a runaway crook. Ian is not someone that's going to run away and hide. Ian is someone that will stick to his word and do what he said and do his best. So let's make sure that that is completely and utterly understood. The only reason that none of you have received a parcel to satisfy the debt of the investment of any amount of money I owe you is because you haven't bloody asked for one. Right? Fair's fair. Okay? So nobody get angry about that anymore. Nobody get annoyed about that anymore. Nobody say one single solitary word about that anymore. Unless, because the only way that you would have a right, anybody, to bitch and moan over the fact that I haven't given you a parcel to satisfy the debt is if you asked for one and I said no. That's fair. Right? If you ask for one and I say yes, there's nothing to moan about. If you see what I mean. Now, we have to talk about what's going on. So, we are dead. There is not any money coming in at the moment. and there hasn't been any money coming in for a little while. We have no shop. All of the bills are just mounting up and mounting up and mounting up on a weekly basis, and I can't cope with it. I can't cope with all the bills, I can't cope with all the debt, and I can't cope with all the work. It's that simple. I'm trying, but I can't. Now, you've seen videos where I've said I'm dividing up my week and I'm taking some time out and I'm taking a day for me and I'm doing some stuff in the garden and one thing and another, and I am doing that. But know this, I am working 7 days a week. Every single day I do something for TGBCH in some way or another, which is doing something for you as well as me. Every day I'm doing something. I can't not do something every day. Some days, there are odd days I manage to not do anything and just get a day away and do something else completely and utterly. But at the moment, I am spending mostly every day doing something or other. And sometimes working till 7, 8 o'clock at night, sitting there. Now, I don't need to do that. Excuse me. I don't need to do any of it. And the reason I don't need to do it is because it's been made possible for me to just hit the button and go bankrupt. Hit the button, go bankrupt, pay these 700 quid, and that's it. It's all gone. It's all finished. And once that button gets pressed, the law says that nobody is allowed to hassle me. Nobody. Once I press that button, the law says I cannot be hassled or harassed for that debt, because that debt is now owned by the official receiver. And most people that would have made an investment in me know that. There is no way of getting anything in that sense. Somebody said in a comment, all your assets are going to be seized. First of all, in order to do that, you've got to spend a lot of money. If you want to freeze my assets, you ain't going to do that on a £50 county court claim online. It's going to cost you a lot of money. It ain't cheap to freeze somebody's assets. The second important thing about that is that I ain't got any assets. And the reason I haven't got any assets is because I haven't used your money to go and buy a fancy car and to have a yacht in the harbour or to buy a big house. I have no fancy jewellery. It's the only bracelet you see me wear, and that's for the, I've worn that for 20 years for the pain. It's one of them thingy bracelets. 20 quid. Helps with the pain that I have in my shoulders and the back of my neck. So you won't see, you know, that is the only, I ain't even got a necklace on. I had a little cheap, not cheap, well cheap one that my wife bought me ages ago, but I haven't got that on. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, there's nothing. So even if you was to go and pay a fortune to freeze my assets, there's no assets to freeze. You ain't going to freeze anything. And that should, in a way, please you. It should please you. In the sense that, well, at least we're dealing with somebody that hasn't done what all them other people do and gone and spunked a load of it on himself and bought himself, you know, watches and jewellery and gold and all that, and gone on holidays and got a boat and bought £2,000 suits and all that kind of thing. I don't do that. The most expensive item of clothing I buy is like 80 quid, 60 quid, if you remember. Even then I ain't bought anything for a long time. Long time. And now my weight's going up. These clothes are not fitting, but I can't afford any others. But I digress. Right, so we're getting a picture. So I can only give you parcels if you ask for them, and there's absolutely almost nothing we can do, and everybody's lost their money. When have you ever had anybody look you in the eye and tell you that? Now, I can tell you with conviction and honesty that even though the moment I press that button, no one is allowed to hassle me, not any of you, not a credit card company, not anything that I owe money to. Once I hit that button and I go bankrupt, that's it. It is all owned by the official receiver. Every debt is owned by them, and any communication has to be done to them. So you have to speak to them, as do every other debtor that I've got. Loans, business loans, suppliers, whatever. They will all have to speak to the official receiver. People are not allowed to harass a bankrupt. And if they do, they can get in trouble. Now, at that point I hit the button, that's me, clear. The law says I am now free and clear. I don't have to do any more work. I don't have to do anything to pay those debts off. I don't have to do a thing. The law says. All I have to do from that moment on is make sure that I pay my way. And I don't get credit over a certain amount, and so on and so on and so on. But at that moment, you can say that I'm free and clear. The moment I press that button. Don't matter how much I owe you, the moment I press that button, I'm free and clear. I can only tell you, again, with conviction and honesty, that even when I've pressed that button, I will still take time to do what I can in order to come up with whatever ideas I can, in order to come up with whatever money I can, in order to be able to pay us something towards the official receiver to pay the debts off. That is all I can promise. Even though by law I won't have to, the moment I press the button, job done. I can just sit in my garden, glass of lemonade under the sun and watch the world go by for the rest of my life if I want. But that's not me. So even though I can legally do that, I won't do that. I will still keep this going. I will still do the videos. I will still let you know how I'm doing, and I will still do what I can to raise money. And I will, and you know, I've already had in my head, I've already sort of worked out that when I get to that point, you know, there are certain things I might do to raise money or sell or whatever, and when I do, I'll ask people to pay me by cheque and make it payable to the official receiver, and then just pass it on. But it's important that you know that I will never give up. Just like I will never let go of Ian Glenn and the Royal Mint, A, for what they did, and B, for what they continue to do. I will never let go of those. For the rest of my life, I will hound them. I may not raise the money to take them to court, but I will hound them for the rest of my natural life until I'm dead. There is no question of that. I will not go away and fade into the nothingness. I will continue with them for the rest of my natural life. Whether I'm a bankrupt, whether I've got a job, whether I'm pulling pints in Wetherspoons, don't matter. I will never, ever, ever let go of them now for the rest of my life. I can promise you the same. I will treat this bankruptcy, if we go that far, differently to any other bankruptcy me or anybody else has ever done. And I will always find a way of earning something to put into the pot and send to the official receiver. Always. And I'll do that for the rest of my life. In order to make sure that the people that put their faith in me and put their trust in me don't actually get burned forever in the long term in that way. Because I will do my utmost to get them paid off. And when you do that and you give the official receiver the money, he has to divvy it up and send it out. The trouble is that when you send the official receiver, I don't know, 50 quid or 100 quid or £1,000 or whatever you send them, they divide it up on how they see fit, divide it up between all the creditors. So you can't say this creditor's got to get that much. No one's allowed to be a preferential creditor, remember. Pardon me, so that's where we are. That is, pardon me, that is a simple truth of where we are. And you're getting that from me to you. is there anything that can be done whatsoever to save your money? Because at the moment it is gone. And the honest answer to that is probably not. There is nothing now that can happen to save. I don't think there is anything that can happen now to save your money. Unless I was to miraculously raise enough money to take 288 to court or the Royal Mint with almost, immediate effect within the next few months. Well, it wouldn't matter. As long as I raised the money, it wouldn't matter. So unless we miraculously raise the money to take the Royal Mint or 288 to court, or unless I do something like raffle off the business, as ridiculous and fantasy as that may sound, we're running out of options. I mean, if, I'm a worker. I work. I try. I am a trier. And if somebody paid me to go out there and shovel shit right now, I'd go out there and shovel shit just to pay an investment off. But there ain't no way of me being able to do that. And I can't do that without more money. And none of you are going to invest more money in me now when our graph looks like that. Our graph doesn't even look like this. It's like that. So that gives you a dilemma. It's like, but I don't want to lose my money. But if I put a bit more money into Ian, I might lose that and all. So then I'm going to lose all the money that I've lost, plus I'm going to lose more. But on the other hand, if enough of us gave Ian a bit more money, he would have enough money to fight this, get out of trouble and get us all paid. Dichotomy, innit? And I can't blame you. I can't blame anybody for going, I'm just not going to put any more in. Don't want to lose any more. I might get that back, but then again I might lose. So, and I don't blame you for that. There's only a couple of you out there that have been talking to me about putting in a serious amount of money. So, unless I pull a rabbit out of the box and we can get them in court, because once we get them in court, they will fold. They will not want all that stuff going public in the newspapers. It's one thing me mouthing off to a couple of thousand people. It's another thing when you've got a newspaper story giving it to 15, 20, 30 million. So they will cough up and they will pay. But I've got to get them to that point. They know it and I know it. And if I can't get them to that point, then they're going to breathe a sigh of relief and walk away smiling. But in order to be able to carry on, I need more money. So again, we have that dichotomy going on and on and on and on. And each week that goes past, I'm losing a lot more money and a lot more money and a lot more money. So, I mean, I would say your only chance of getting your money back is to get behind me. But what are you going to get behind me on? I can't even work that one out properly. So, I've already given you the idea of the sue the mint and the 10 times of money coming back on that and everything else if we win. And if that ain't enough to get people to go, yeah, we want to back it, then I don't know what is. There ain't nothing, is there? Let's just, call a spade, as they say. Call a shovel a shovel. So, there we are. But I want to give it to you straight. I'm tired of all this miscommunication, misunderstandings, bollocks being said here and there and all the rest of it on my behalf, not on my behalf, and one thing and another. And I'll talk about this at some point, excuse me, but, there's things to consider. People mustn't get nasty. I talked about not so long ago about going through. I'm still going through a rough time, but there was a point the other week. I couldn't care less if I lived or died. I really couldn't care less. Someone killed themselves not so long ago. Left behind a wife and a baby over nothing but coins, arguments. You know that. coin arguments to let someone top of themselves. People pushing the wrong buttons. That doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help anybody. For what? An argument? Doesn't help anybody. I know that some of you want to string me up from the highest tree. I know that, and I don't blame you for it, I know that some of you would, even if you got your money back, would never back me again if your life depended on it. And I know that some of you would back me in a heartbeat. So that's where we are. And I'm talking to all of you. That's where we are. Anybody that wants settling, leave a comment on this video so I know I can come back to it, and then I can look at who's leaving a comment, and then I can look at maybe where you are and see what I can do, right? But anybody that wants a parcel, and you'll be offered a choice of a couple of parcels. It'll be that one, and that one. Which one do you want? And that's the value. So yeah, leave a comment if you'd like to have your investment back in goods. I've got no problem with that by doing parcels. I've got no problem with that. Other than that, what else are we going to do? Well, I'm gonna, you know, what's a man got to do? I'm just going to keep trying. I'll keep trying. I'll keep coming up with stupid, silly, ridiculous, fantastical, fantasy, sci-fi, mindless, idiotic and crazy ideas. I keep doing that because that's what I do. I don't care if people don't like it. I will keep trying. Unless you are all happy enough to do what one investor did. One investor says to me, Ian, I'm seeing what's going on. It ain't worth it. It's only money and I can afford to lose it. Don't worry about it. I knew what I was doing when I put it in. Don't worry about it. It ain't worth you dying for. Blew me away, that did. Essentially happy to lose it. Now, if every single one of you are happy to lose your investment, well, that would do me the biggest favour of the century, wouldn't it? Because then I really can take the stress off my shoulders, relax a little bit, and maybe do, as that investor said, look after myself. But I just have a sneaky suspicion that maybe that particular investor had maybe a little bit more money than, you know, you, or a different opinion or whatever. I just don't think somehow that every single one of you is going to say, Ian, don't worry about it, mate. It's only money. And I say that because I think some of you out there desperately need that money. I think some of you really, really, really need that money right now. And I don't think you can afford to say, don't worry about it, Ian. Therefore, surely you want me to come up with another idea tomorrow. And if that one don't work, one the next day. And if that don't work, one the next week. And if that don't work, another one, and another one, and another one. No matter how ridiculous, no matter how crazy, no matter what. You would, if you don't want to just write that debt off, surely you want me to come up with these ideas. Because I don't know what else to do. And I just wanted to give it to you straight, and I've taken up 30 minutes, so that'll do. You know where I am, you know where I stand, and you know what I stand for, and I ain't going anywhere. You got my number, you got my Facebook, you can see my family, you'd soon know if I disappeared, went to Lagos, or whatever. Don't even know where that is. But thanks for watching. Thanks for trusting me in the first place. And I hope your trust is not misplaced. I am doing everything that I can. And I will continue to do everything that I can. Just do me a favour, don't slag me off for it. Not when I'm trying to do it and protect your money. Know what I mean? Alright then, thanks very much. Bye for now.